Hi, I'm Charlotte Lavender. I'm the Head of Marketing, Admissions and Communications at BGS. And what we wanted to do today was gather some of the staff to talk through Parent Forum. So today some of the lesser asked questions around the broader offering that we have in English in particular. We also want to talk about trips and how we allocate those. We're going to talk about our policies around food wastage and locally sourcing as well. And then a question that has come up around the POMs and then GCSE timings as well. As you'll all know, Parent Forum, we have reps for each of the years. And whilst we're really grateful to those that are already involved, we want to invite as many of you as possible to get engaged. Please do get in touch with your rep and ask any other questions that we can then start to answer over the next academic year.
So GCSE is a 2-year course, and it's very true that we do the lion's share of the teaching in year 10. In terms of the timing of the POM, we've got to marry up to two things. Number one, we need to make sure that enough content has been covered, but also we need to make sure that enough skills have been covered to make that first progress overview meeting really meaningful and impactful. We time it at the end of April, just before they go into their end of year exams, and give that targeted feedback ahead of the end of year exam in year 10. We have a POM then early in year 11. That is to talk about progress made since the end of year exam in year 10, but also to talk about subject choices and A-level options for the sixth form. We then go into the mock period and we have a subsequent POM in the spring term of year 11, and that is to allow for those final pointers before we go into the summer exam diet to make sure that we're match fit. We also ensure that we provide regular feedback outside of those times, so there will always be a half-termly effort report. We also have attainment grades issued at the ends of each term. In year 10, we like to do that as a banded grade. It's too early to stick a single GCSE number on it, so we might say you're working at around an 8/7 or a 7/6. But of course, at any point, if you have questions about academic progress, please do get in touch with the class teacher, the form tutor, or the year academic tutor. We all want the same thing, which is the best possible progress for every pupil.
We do everything we can to limit the amount of food we waste on a daily basis. We have 3 weeks, each week with a new menu. And then what the catering team do is they assess who's picked what on any given day, and then they adjust the number of dishes they serve of each of the food items to try and reduce wastage wherever possible. Other thing we also look at is what we do with the food wastage afterwards. So all of the food waste goes into the big bins on the way out of Great Hall. Any of our biodegradable packaging goes in with it. And then that is all processed downstream by a waste firm. Our main catering supplier is a company called Allman Hall, and they have recently been awarded a top-level gold award by the EcoVadis organisation, who are responsible for maintaining and pushing for sustainable links within the food transport company.
So English is often a subject that pupils don't know how to revise, or they say they don't know how to revise. There's lots of myths going around saying you can't revise for English. So what we've put on SharePoint is a handy list of strategies that year 11 pupils and year 10 pupils later in the year can use to practice for English. Rereading the text for literature, to looking at some past papers. We've also got an English revision podcast that's available on Spotify and Apple iTunes that I really recommend pupils check out. There's lots of co-curricular opportunities for BGS pupils, from theatre trips through to debating, through to oracy. Year 9, we're off to see Never Let Me Go at the theatre a couple of weeks ago. Then in the new year, year 12 are going to Stratford-upon-Avon to see Edward II and Hamlet, and year 13 are also going to be off to see Hamlet. We have lots of author talks that we try to get in each year for years 7 to 9. We've had Stephen Davies, Geoffrey Boakye, we've had Nikesh Shukla, we've had Luke Palmer. Lots of different writers who come in and they'll be talking to the whole year group about their experience as a writer, but also they've run some workshops for groups of pupils to help them improve their own creative writing. In addition to this, we run some book clubs. The wittily entitled Shelf Indulgence and Overbooked, run by Mrs. Bale, lower down the school. In the sixth form, we have the Senior English Society, which meets weekly from January and explores a number of topics to take pupils beyond the limits of the A-level curriculum to look at everything from Renaissance clowns through to kind of feminist literature across time. We also run many opportunities to do with oracy. So Mr. Evans has been leading a group of students with the Bristol Schools Partnership on some oracy workshops. And Mrs. Ravenscroft has been supporting the Gabbler, which is a public speaking competition that takes place every year, which BGS has actually won for the last 2 years.
Here at BGS, we know that trips are a really, really important part of school life, be it from a 1-hour visit to the museum or the art gallery to our extensive overseas trips that we offer. We try and make sure that they're affordable for families, they're given lots of notice as to when they're coming up, and of course, we try and ensure we can provide enough spaces for children to go where they would like to travel. On the odd occasion, in recent times, trips have been oversubscribed. Therefore, a difficult decision is made as to who can travel and who can't. For those students who are unable to travel and there isn't space, we put them on a priority list for their next trip to try and ensure the next time they want to travel and go away, there is an opportunity for them to do that. I appreciate that's not a perfect solution and we would love everyone to be able to go on every trip they wish. However, we think it's the fairest way to ensure for those students who had the disappointment that they do get the excitement on the next trip.